Okay. So in this way, what we talked about, consciousness expressing through the individual upadhis. I had given you a new term, upadhi. Upadhi means conditioning. Conditioning means anything that I identify with which is not me, like the three bodies. The gross body is a conditioning, the subtle body is a conditioning, the causal body is a conditioning. All of these things are called upadhis. The 5 koshas are conditionings. The 3 states are conditionings. So in this way, consciousness expressing through individual conditioning is jiva. And consciousness expressing through total conditioning is Ishvara. So for many, this would be a very different definition of God, isn't it? As we were talking during Mananam, that normally we think of God as just an idol or a form or a specific name that we relate to. But here we're really understanding what God really is. You see, when we hear these terms that Ishvara is Sarvagnya, all-knowing. Well, how is God all-knowing? God is all-knowing because God is the cosmic mind, remember? God is the total, part of God is the total mind. So God is all-knowing. It's like Guruji once explained to us very, very nicely. He said, God is like Google. Everything is in Google, isn't it? But what's our role? We actually have access to this total mind. You see, that's why some yogis, they have some siddhi that they can actually see what's happening or what's going on because we have access to the total mind. But whatever we want is what we download, isn't it? Like in Google, if you want to look at a video on music, you type that in and you get that. If you want to look up a video on history, go on YouTube, you get that and you download it, isn't it? Like that, from the cosmic mind, whatever it is that we tap into, that's what we receive. So that's how we say that Ishvara is Sarvagnya, all-knowing. It's a cosmic mind. Ishvara is Sarveshwara, means all strength. Why? Because all bodies are His. All arms are His. Everything is completely His. So what cannot Ishvara accomplish? So then these terms start to make sense. Ishvara is Sarva-vyapi, all-pervading. Why? Because God is everywhere. Everything is God. Every single thing is God. So when we have the correct understanding, then all of these indicators make sense. Then we truly understand what God is. So our level has to be from going to one form of God to going through God in totality and seeing God everywhere. There was once this Mahatma in this ashram, okay? And this Mahatma was sitting peacefully and he used to manage a lot of ashrams from far. So one of the people came up to him and said, Mahatma ji, we have lots and lots of problems in our ashram. So many disagreements, so many things are going on, I don't know what to do. So this Mahatma ji said, you do one thing. You tell all the ashramites that God is coming to visit. But God is coming in disguise. So you won't know who God will be, what will God dress as, you won't know, but God is coming in disguise, so you better be prepared. So he went back. He was maybe the president of that ashram. And he told everyone, he said, look, this Mahatma ji said God is coming in disguise. And this will happen. He said, anytime in this week, God will come. In disguise of whom? We don't know. What will he, she be wearing? We don't know. all the ashramites said, oh my God, now what to do? God's coming. So what started happening to them? They didn't know where God would be, so they started becoming nicer to each other. The people who were there, who they used to snub, they used to smile at, the people they used to feel irritated at, they used to be, hey, you want to come over? You want to spend some time together? The people that they feel used to irritate them, they used to say, come, study with me, I'll explain to you. They used to be so extra kind, extra nice to each other. Things were slowly changing in that ashram. And nobody knew. They said, did he come? Did God come? Or did she come? Did God come? They were all asking everybody. Nobody knew. But they kept on becoming nice to each other. And everything kept on going very, very well. And the ashram made such a wonderful transition. So this president said, now 1 week has passed. Then 2 weeks have passed. He said, I better go ask the Mahatmaji. I hope I didn't miss God. I hope, we didn't just let God go like that. So he goes to the Mahatmaji. He says, Mahatmaji, it's been now 2-3 weeks. Everything in the ashram is much better. But we're kind of afraid that maybe we didn't meet God. Maybe we missed the opportunity to meet God. What should we do? So the Mahatma said, you tell everybody in the ashram, God is there. God is always there. It's just that the disguise of God is these names and forms. So actually every single person in that ashram is God, but just in disguise. So he looked at the Mahatma and he bowed down and he said, thank you. If only you and I actually saw people as God in disguise. Not name and body first, but God first, then in this name and body. If only I saw God is wearing a churidar, very nice churidar God's wearing, or God's wearing a sweatshirt, or God's a young child, or God's an older person. If only my vision were to change to see God first, then Namarupa. Now how beautiful would that be? You see now why we're Maya Dasa? You see why we're Maya Dasa? Because we see Namarupa first, then Bhagavan. Whereas Ishvara is Mayapati. Ishvara knows that it is that pure consciousness and everything is just a play. That's why Ishvara is able to wield it. So as a seeker, our transition has to be really see God in everything. Because in fact today we've learned that God is everything. So in this way we have Jiva, and in this way we have Ishvara. So now in your page 101 it will say Evam Pinda Brahmandayoho Aikyam
Pinda Brahmandayoho Aikyam
Sambhutam. He says, so now what we've seen is Pinda. Pinda means the small lump. Jiva. Brahmanda means totality. There is Aikyam. There is some kind of Aikyam, some kind of oneness. Sambhutam is established. What do you mean? Means some kind of oneness in that everything that is in total is in the individual, right? Everything that's there outside, 5 elements, is there in the individual. Everything outside the mind, intellect, ego, memory is there in the individual. Everything outside the gunas is there in the individual. So everything in the Brahmanda is in the Pindanda. Likewise, everything in the Pindanda is in the Brahmanda. So there's some kind of oneness in that everything there is here, everything here is there. But now there's actually a deeper oneness that we're going to look at. Now I'm going to ask you a very important question. Okay? We said consciousness identifying with the three upadhis, which is the gross, subtle, causal body, that consciousness is called jiva. Correct? Now, who exactly, so this Atma plus the three bodies is jiva. Who is exactly identifying with these upadhis? Who is identifying? Can Atma identify? Atma is pure consciousness. So who is identifying?
Ego.
And what is this jiva exactly? What is this jiva? So now we're going to see little more light into what is jiva. Okay? Just show you.
Okay.
So, here now, I've asked you this question already. Who is that which identifies? So you can move on to the next one. And who is the one that wields? Because we said that Brahman plus the three bodies is Ishvara. So who is Ishvara? Who is the one that wields? Okay. So now you have to be a little creative with me, okay? This is an example. This will explain a lot of things. Now, you think about, it's a wonderful day, gorgeous day like today, and there is a sun. There is a sun, and that sun is reflected in a bucket of water, very much like what we have here. Okay? The sun is reflected in a bucket of water. What is the bucket? The bucket symbolizes gross body. Okay? What is the water? Symbolizes subtle and causal body. So you can say Sukshma and Karana Sharira. And there is a reflection of the sun in the bucket. What is that reflection? Jiva. Jiva. And the sun which is reflecting, what is that sun? Consciousness or Atma or even Brahman. Consciousness. So when we talk about who is identifying with these bodies, who is identifying with the gross, subtle, causal body, who is the one making the mistake? It's jiva. And what is jiva? That reflection of consciousness. That sun in the bucket. So you see, is anything happening to Atma there? Is anything happening to the sun? No, nothing is happening to the sun. Is Atma actually making the action of identifying? Is Atma doing anything? Atma doesn't do anything. Atma just is. What is causing this identification is the reflection in that bucket, which is known as Jiva. So who is Jiva actually? Jiva is a reflection of consciousness. Right? So we said one term, I said consciousness, identified with the three bodies is Jiva. Jiva is also a reflection of consciousness. So whenever somebody will say, well, who is ignorant? Who is the one doing this mistake? It is Jiva. So this must be very clear. Not that Atma makes a mistake or Atma is ignorant. Not that sometimes we put the blame on Atma because we don't know who to put the blame on. The blame goes on Jiva. Jiva is the one that makes that error. Now, in the same way, how do we see Ishvara? Okay, so next is... Next is Ishvara. Now, that same sun, not a different sun, that same sun that you saw is reflected, but this time not in a bucket. Because Ishvara is totality. Remember, his upadhi is totality. So his gross body is like maybe the sides of the island or sides of the huge Pacific Ocean. And his subtle and causal body is the ocean, that ocean itself. And what is Ishvara? The reflection of consciousness in totality. That is Ishvara. So that reflection of consciousness in individuality is called Jiva, and the reflection of consciousness in totality is called Ishvara. So you see, same sun. It's just that, what's the difference here? What are the things that are different?
Individual versus
That is more limited.
The bucket, there's a difference between the bucket and let's say the outside sands. Let's say there's a difference in the amount of water in the bucket and the water in the ocean. And perhaps there's a difference in the reflection also, isn't it? Because the reflection in the ocean will be a little bit different, the bucket of water will be a little bit different. But is there a difference in the sun?
No.
There's no difference in the sun, isn't it? Not at all.
So, Shubhaniji, I mean, this is many years ago. Krishnamurti ji, when he was talking about the Om Purnamada Shanti Mantra, used the same analogy, and I don't remember exactly all the words that he used, but he used the bucket and the moon or sun or whatever light you have, and he said Atma and Ishvara. So, where does Atma come in here?
So Atma is the
the
sun.
consciousness, the sun. So in that case, the example he said Ishvara is the consciousness and Atma as the reflection. Which
So I don't know
remember,
if that
it stuck in my mind. I always use that example to tell people what the Om Purnamada Shloka was. Except here, the word it's a question of the word. Instead of calling it Atma, I think we should have been calling it as Jiva. And Ishvara, of course, is the pure consciousness.
So that one at the pure consciousness is only Atma or Brahman.
That's it.
That's only two terms you have. That's the sun. That's the sun, right?
Yeah.
Pure consciousness, Atma, Brahman. It's actually the same thing.
Why then two terms? That was my question.
So why two terms? And we'll also see why two terms is just with respect to the individual they call it Atma. With respect to totality they call it Brahman. That's all. But those two terms are really the same thing.
Right, that's a good question.
It's really the same thing. But why they're using two terms is now when we go into the Mahavakya, then you'll understand why they're using all of these terms. Not to drive us crazy. Because, it just makes it easy to understand. Okay? So, now in this way, let me ask you a question. If we look at this, are Jiva and Ishvara the same? Or are they different?
Yes.
How many say they're the same? How many say they're different?
Different.
Okay, so let's see what the answer is. Okay? If they're the same or they're different. So page 102. Sthula Sharirabhimani
Stula Sharirabhimani
Jivanamakam Brahma Pratibimbam Bhavati Sa eva Jivaha Prakritya Swasmat Ishwaram Bhinnattvena Janati Avidyopadhisan Atma Jiva Ityuchyate Mayopadhisan Ishvara Ityuchyate. Okay, so first let us see this much. Okay? sthula sharira abhimani. Abhimani means the one who's identified with sthula sharira. And you can take sukshma karana sharira. The one who's identified jiva namakam is called jiva. So this we have made very, very clear. Brahma pratibimbam bhavati. Jiva is the reflection of consciousness. Reflection of Brahman or reflection of Atma. Like the reflection of the sun in the bucket. That much is clear? This term reflection of consciousness, other terms that you may hear will be chitchaya or chidabhasa. You may hear these terms when you study other texts. This is what it means, reflection of consciousness. Sa eva jiva. That alone is called jiva. Jivati iti jiva, that which lives is called jiva. Prakritya. Prakritya means by its nature, swasmat ishwaram bhinnatvena janati. Swasmat means from itself, it feels that Ishwara is bhinna, is different. Janati, it knows itself to be different from Ishwara. So just by nature, we are like that. We feel we're different from God. Not many people are like born and say, oh, I am God, isn't it? We feel like we're different. Like we feel like God is so great, so mighty. There's even this song in Bhavya, no? My God is so great, so strong and so mighty, right? We feel like we're just different. That is the nature of Jiva. What about Ishvara? So here, very important says, avidyopadi san Atma Jiva ityuchyate. So this Atma is called Jiva when it identifies with the conditioning, the upadi of avidya, of ignorance. Right? So this Atma is called Jiva when it identifies with avidya. And when you identify with avidya upadi, what does that mean? That you automatically, sukshma, sthula sharira, automatically you put that two together. So that Atma is called Jiva. So here it defines everything so clearly, isn't it? Then it says, Mayopadi san, Ishvara ityuchyate. That same Atma, when it wields
with the world.
The Maya Upadi, the conditioning of Maya, is called Ishvara. So it's that same consciousness. That same consciousness. It's just that when it identifies with the three bodies, it's called Jiva. When it wields the three bodies, it's called Ishvara. So now, are they the same or are they different? So now he answers the question. Evam upadhi bhedat jiveshwara bheda drishtihi yavat paryantam tishtati tavat paryantam Janma maranadi rupa samsaraha nadivartate. Okay, so we'll see up to here. He says, in this way, upadi bhedat jiveshwara bheda drishtihi. So where are they different? No. Yes, in terms of upadi. Yeah. Are they different? No. Yes, in terms of upadi. What upadi? Conditioning. Why? Because one has individual conditioning, one has total conditioning. So in terms of upadi, they are different. But in terms of the essence, are they different? No. Why? It's the same sun. It's the same consciousness. So you understand now. When they say you are that thou art, what are they talking about? the sun. We're talking about pure consciousness. So he says the difference is only in upadhi. That's all it is. Yavat paryantam tishtati. As long as one considers themselves to be a jiva, tavat paryantam. Until that point, guess what? Janma maranadi rupa samsaraha na nivartate. Samsara will not go. Until and unless until I consider myself jiva, until that point, the more I consider myself jiva, samsara will not go. Because who is jiva? That reflection in the bucket. Huh? Is that reflection real or not real?
Not real.
You just take out the bucket, where is that?
It's gone.
That's why they say kick the bucket, no? Right? That reflection is only apparent. It's just an apparent reflection. It's just happening. It just happens. But what is the absolute reality? Consciousness. When I identify with my upadhis and take myself to be jiva, then all sorrow starts. All samsara starts. You just think in your life, every single time that we've experienced sorrow, why is it? I've identified with one of these upadhis. That's the only reason. There is no other reason. And the more I identify, the more I will feel. And don't say that, oh, I'll identify so that I'll also feel happy. Isn't it? Sometimes you want to identify with the upadhis because you'll feel happy. Oh, remember, the more happy you feel, the more sorrow you'll feel also. Huh? The more I get exhilarated in joy, the more I'll feel depressed and sorrow. So to the extent that I identify, to that extent I have jivatva. And to the extent that I have jivatva, to that extent I will have sorrow in my life. Because that sorrow comes from me identifying. We all went through thoroughly how we're not this body, isn't it? So many reasons we gave. How I'm not this body. How I'm not this mind. How I'm not this intellect. How I'm not this kosha, that kosha. How I'm not all of this. But yet, what happens? Still we say, we take ourselves, we identify. To that extent we identify, to that extent we will have samsara. Therefore, he says, tasmat karanat na jiveshwaryor bheda buddhi swikarya. He says, therefore, don't take yourself to be that jiva. And don't ever take yourself to be different from Ishvara in essence. Because in essence, it is actually the same. So you understand now? So are Jiva and Ishvara different?
Only the conditions
From
are
Upadhi.
Yeah.
Yes. When we take into account Upadhi, they are different. But the essential nature, they are the same. So now he goes into a little deeper. Now, you see, we've covered so far, if we take all of this, what we've covered is Tattva Viveka. Remember in TatvaBodha there were 3 topics, right? Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna, then Tattva Viveka and Moksha Sadhana Bhuta. We've taken so far Sadhana Chatushtaya. Tattva Viveka, where we've discriminated Atma from Anatma, right? That we went through. And we've also discriminated what is Brahman from Maya. Means what is Brahman from this whole creation? Because we said this whole creation cannot come from Brahman. So we actually did what is that Viveka. And we've also properly understood what is a Jiva. Actually, what is Jiva? We've also understood what is Ishvara. Now, Only when one clearly understands this knowledge, they can come to moksha sadhana bhuta, which means the means for liberation. And what is that means for liberation? The first means is TatvaBodha, means the knowledge of the self. This section that we are going to study is the most important section in the entire TatvaBodha. It is the most, because everything that we've studied is just to come to this. Every single thing that we've taken is to come to this point. So once we had to do all of that viveka because that clarity has to be there. And now we start to inquire about our Mahavakyas. Yes?
Quick question. Something I've always struggled with.
Yes.
How do you define what is mind?
How do you define
What is mind?
what is mind?
Yes.
Okay. What is mind? Mind, first of all, we've said it's an upadi. It's a conditioning. Correct? This mind, sometimes what will happen is we will see this whole, we know that antakarana has 4 aspects, right? Sometimes they can all be referred to as mind. But mind specifically, if you want to know, it is a conditioning. It is part of our subtle body, okay? Which means it's not the brain,
Right.
okay? Brain is part of our gross body.
Yes.
Mind is a subtle body.
Right.
Now, what in the subtle body is mind? Mind specifically is that function of doubt or indecision. So mind is that function when, let's say, should I go here or should I go there? Should I do this or should I do that? It's that highly volatile function of the subtle body, which it entangles in doubt. And it may also get very emotional. When that mind, what we call mind, gets a little bit more determined, then that's called intellect or buddhi. Then, when the function of that antakarana becomes very, likes to stamp itself on everything, that is called ahankara or ego. I did it. It's me. It's all about me. And that function of the antakarana of remembering things is called memory. Now, sometimes when we study Vedanta, all 4 of these will be called mind. You see? So, as a seeker, I have to be careful of what I'm reading. Either all of this is called mind, or is it just that function that they're referring to? But it is a subtle body.
Then what is it that we as human beings perceive as consciousness? So what is that within us that, and I conveniently say it's your mind that perceives consciousness? I think I'm wrong. What is it, and what is it that takes for us to perceive consciousness?
So-
I struggle with that.
So what is it that perceives consciousness,
Right.
right? Is it the mind that perceives?
Yes. No.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Yes, Vidya, you had something.
You don't have to perceive it. We are conscious.